So I started some bacon curing a couple of weeks ago in my refrigerator, and I really have put it off to the last minute. So today we're going to go ahead and use the Giantex 3-in-1 charcoal smoker to finish that bacon off so we can fry a little bit and have a snack today. I went ahead and I set up a low temperature charcoal snake. Now low temperature to me means that we want to be in the say 200 to maybe 225 at the most range. So that means 2 rows on the bottom and 1 row of charcoal on the top. And you'll see that picture right here. I went ahead and set that up, and then I placed some chopped wood splits around it so that way those will go off throughout the timing of the cook. As the charcoal gets to it, that piece will light. It'll let off some smoke right when it starts to light, and then of course it'll start burning along with the charcoal. The important thing is not to touch those wood splits with each other. Otherwise, they'll do what I call wicking, where they'll all start burning faster than charcoal. And we want the charcoal to control the speed, not the wood. Let's go ahead and get that fire set up. So I popped that picture up there for you, and then I moved the camera at the same time, and we're gonna go ahead and try to get a good close-up of this. You can't get the camera directly over top of the smoker because that'll damage the camera. But we'll go ahead and just take the top off right here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna feed these in. And again, in that picture, these are going more than I would normally like. I normally would have transferred them just a little bit sooner. And I'm gonna set those right here at the beginning. And right here you have the rocks, and the rocks are the starting point, and that protects the ending point from catching on fire. Now these charcoals are going really, really well. So they are gonna light this fire up really fast. So we've emptied all that out, and all that's left is a little bit of ashes. Set that to the side. And that charcoal is so well lit that I don't think we're gonna need to play with it too much. We're just gonna need to give it a couple of minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and put this grate on there. And if you remember me talking about this, there's little notches right here. And if you put that grate into those notches and then do the same on the other 2 corners, this thing won't go anywhere. And then I'm gonna go ahead and use the fire dial from Lava Lock, and I'm gonna set that in there, and that's just gonna be so that way it will spread out that heat nice and evenly. Set this on here, line up the little lock, make sure it's firmly down, and then give it a tiny twist, and it's connected. And then we can set the top on, and what I like to do is leave all the doors open and make sure that the vent cap is open all the way. Now we'll let that go ahead and get started, and we'll run in the kitchen and get that bacon ready. So let's go in there. So we're in the kitchen, and this has been in the fridge curing for a couple of weeks. You really only need about 5 days for something this size, but if you go over, that's usually fine. Again, it's a little longer than what I would normally do. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the vacuum sealed bag. And if you're looking for the recipe for this, I'm gonna put a link to my article on my website for that. Now, first thing I like to do is I like to rinse it really good. So I'm gonna turn on the cold water, and I'm just gonna rinse it directly in the bag. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and set it aside over here. I'm gonna go ahead and change this over to spray. And then I have a cookie sheet grate down in the bottom here to keep this off of the bottom of the sink, and that's just a personal choice. And I'm gonna rub all of this off of there. Now a little bit of it is still gonna stick, but that's okay. And you can look at it. I don't know how well you can see that, but you can tell that it's well cured by that look to it. And then, of course, that's not going to hurt bacon. Let me grab some paper towels and I'll be right back. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both pieces and I'm going to dry it. Now, normally you would have one piece, but I cut it in half because my meat slicer is not large enough to cut the whole thing in one shot. So by doing this, I can set the meat slicer and I can cut half of it and then cut the other half and set it right next to each other. And when I go to freeze it, I can freeze the pieces that are continuing from that same cut. And so if we look at this, let's see if we can see this here. It should be just like that. And then when I slice it, I'll try to slice it and put these pieces from the end together in the same freezer package. So get this dry. Just like that. And before it dries completely, we're going to add some pepper. Now, of course, you could add brown sugar at this point or maple syrup. I'm trying to go low sugar, almost keto. So I tend to not use any more sugar than what's in the original cure. And this is just the Kirkland coarse ground black pepper that I use all the time. And you'll find a link for that below. And then I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle that on here. It's hard to put too much pepper on the bacon. Also, some of it will fall off in the smoking process and in the cooking process when you go to fry it. So don't worry about that. Now that it's covered well and it's dry, I'm going to go ahead and set it up on here. I try to avoid doing the ends on the bacon. I don't really want to get a bunch of pepper on that end or the piece will be unedible. So just on the surfaces. So we're going to go ahead and let that dry and then we'll take it outside to the smoker. So see you outside. So you can see these are just sitting in there burning really well. And I'm really happy with how they started out. Again, they're going really, really well. So we don't have any, dark spots or unlit areas. Before I move on, I want to mention that those wood chunks that I split came out of this bag of Weber pecan. I like to use pecan with my bacon. However, a lot of people do like to use hickory with their bacon, and that's completely a personal choice. So you do what you like. This is what I like. So now that everything is going good, we're going to go ahead and close the door. Now remember that these handles will start getting hot. And we can check up here and see the temperature, and the main thermometer I think is actually a little bit low. It's not showing a reading yet, but this one that I punched in through here is showing 125. So it will come up, but it's just going to need a little bit of time with the doors closed and everything like that. Not a problem though. We are only smoking this bacon to an internal temperature of 155 to 160. Again, it's cured. The idea is to warm it up and get all that smoky goodness in there. And then when we cook it, we'll actually finish that in the frying pan. I'm going to go ahead and open this and let out all that heat we were working to build up. So here's our bacon today, and this is about 1/3 of a pork belly. So I'm going to go ahead and place that on there, and like I mentioned before, I'm trying to keep this together in the exact same format because I want to be able to slice it across with the slicer, and then that way I can keep the pieces that are supposed to be together. Now, I'm putting that on there, and then I'm going to separate it just a tiny bit, just enough for a little bit of heat and smoke to get through there. And that's it. So we're going right along, and it's been about 1.5 hours. I was having trouble getting it to the temperature I wanted. And I don't know if you can see this on the close-up cam, but this thermometer is showing right about 220, 225. And this one is really off. So the manufacturer's thermometer is a little questionable on this unit, and I just wouldn't rely on it too much. But once you get to the point to where you know what it is and the difference, you can easily use a Sharpie, or you can try readjusting it. Sometimes these can be adjusted from the bottom. You can open them and you can calibrate them a little bit. Now what I have here is the ThermoPro dual probe thermometer, and this is a probe that we use. On the side of this lid, it has the holes for the hanging rods that I did not put in. I'm thinking about putting some bolts in those, but this is going to be really convenient for what I want to do next. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. And you don't have to plug it in first, but I'm just going to do that. I'll set this down here, and then we'll lift up the lid real careful and drop that through there like that. It almost fits perfectly. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put this in. Now, we want to put it in towards the middle and slide it in across the same direction that we would cut. The reason that we want to do that is because if we do it this way, we'll actually be able to cut right along that, and we'll only ruin one piece of bacon rather than having a bunch of different pieces. If you go crossways, you'll have a hole through every slice. If you go the long way, you'll just ruin one slice completely. So we're going to go ahead and do that and give this about 5 or 10 seconds to come to temperature. And I got it a little high, so we're not right in the middle, but it's saying that we're at 167, which I'll adjust that and check it again and make sure. So we'll go ahead and take another little break, and I'll be right back for you in 1 second with an instant read thermometer and probably about 10-15 minutes for me. So I grabbed an instant read thermometer from in the house, and I want to show you this close up here. This is my newest one. It's called a Yunko, and it's something that I wanted to buy because it was very budget friendly, and I wanted to give another one a try. All right, so let's go ahead and take this back off. But do that. And then on here, you can change it from C to Fahrenheit. So if you want to be in either one, whatever works for you. I'm going to try to get as close to this thermometer as I can because, like I said, I think I just hit it a little low because you see it's at a downward angle. Yeah, see, we're only showing 127, so I'm going to reset that other thermometer because I knew that there was no way that that was the right reading. We're at 127 on there, and this one is all the way up to like 170 or something. I'm going to go ahead and set that down, and I can handle that temperature no problem. It just wasn't in far enough either. That feels much better. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this lid back on there. We should easily have another hour of smoking time here. And so let's see, now we're at about an hour 45 right now. I've usually done this at about 3 hours for a pork belly of this size with that thickness. The thicker ones can take 4 hours depending on your temperature. But we're running right now, because we've been taking the lid on and off, we're showing 150 up there. I'll probably go ahead and toss a few more wood chunks in there, the little ones, and that way we'll pop that temperature right back up again. It is climbing, so a lot of that is just taking the lid on and off. But I'm going to make sure that I'm above 200 to keep a consistent cooking speed. So we'll go ahead and cut, and I'll let you know how long it's been when we get back. But that'll only be 1 second for you. All right, so it's been almost another hour, and I got to tell you, this is looking great. So I'm going to go ahead and take the lid off. And again, I was still off a little bit on the thermometer, so I really, you know, it's showing 180 degrees, and it's really not. So let's go ahead and take this here, and then I'm going to try to get it in the center. You know what? Let's grab this one. We're showing 141. So we're still a little under what we want to do. And so I think what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to pop up that temperature a little bit. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to add some wood chunks and a little bit of wood chip to get it started. So that way we can get that temperature to go up really quick. So we want to be done in no later than another hour, because what will happen is we'll start to run out of light. And that's fine. We can take it in the kitchen and cook some bacon, no problem. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to add a little bit of the mesquite chips and some of the pecan wood chunks to that to get it up. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll see you back here in 1 second. So I checked this a couple minutes ago and it looks like it's really good. We are out of time though, so no matter what we get, we're gonna pull it and we're gonna go ahead and slice a piece. And look at that. Look at how that wonderful color, still moist in the middle there. The oil is just coming to the surface. I really like that look. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this. Now this is not too hot, but if it were hotter, you'd want to use a glove or something like that. We're doing bacon, we're not doing like pork butt. So at 225, we can easily grab that. I'm gonna go ahead and set this down and let's turn this on. And again, this is the Unico instant read thermometer. I'm gonna go ahead and stack this up here so that way we can get a little bit better look here. Let's see if we can get this flat right in there. A little. Ooh, 156, 155.5. That is actually perfect. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull this and set it on a cutting board and get all that ready, and we'll be right back. So let's take a quick break. So I'm squeezed in here and I'm gonna go ahead and set that on the cutting board. So you've got both pieces here and it's just like that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna do it like this. And I'm gonna cut on this edge because I wanna square it up a little bit. Just a little firmer than I'd like, and that's probably from curing it a little too long. Hopefully this one turns out really good. There we go. That's some nice cuts there. I'm going to go ahead and hold this one up so you can see it. That looks like your traditional piece of bacon right there. A little more meaty than what you'd normally buy in the store. Very happy with that look. Now this is going to go in the refrigerator. Here's the thing. I would love to cut all this up right now, and by hand it's going to be a little inconsistent. To run it through the meat slicer, it's going to need to be cold. I also like to take it after it's completely cold and throw it in the freezer for 5 minutes while I set the meat slicer up, and then the outside of it gets a nice little crust to it, so it slices absolutely perfectly. So this will just be set to the side until then. Now over here, I'm warming up a frying pan. Let's go ahead and switch these two. So today what I have here is my Coleman butane cartridge stove. And I like to use these. They're really nice when you go on a camping trip. They take up hardly any space at all. And mostly what I do with them is make coffee. Now I'm gonna heat this up a little bit. So let's go ahead and put these pieces of bacon on there. We'll start with these nice, perfect ones. And you hear that sizzle? Oh, I'm happy with that sizzle. And these end pieces are, you know, they're not going to be as good as the center pieces, but we will still eat them anyway. Let's go ahead and take a short break while this bacon cooks, and I'll be right back. So it looks like the bacon is done. I did flip it twice. Go ahead and pull these pieces on the outside, a little bit thinner, a little bit smaller. Look at that. That looks beautiful. Well, that's perfect. That's exactly the way I like it. Look at that. Sizzling, nice and crispy looking. I don't like my bacon hard or overcooked. I am a soft bacon person. I know those are fighting words. Some people love their bacon soft and some people like it hard. I'm going to go ahead and turn the frying pan off, and then we'll take a quick break to get rid of that. All right, I've got everything arranged here, and I want to get a good look at it, but mostly I really want to taste one of these bigger pieces. Could be fried just a touch more, but it's pretty good. I, like I said, like soft bacon, so let's go ahead and bite into it. Okay, that has the perfect texture. I was worried it was a little too soft, but no, that's great. Outside edges crisped up really good with that pepper, but the pepper's not strong at all. All I need is a couple of over easy eggs, and this would be heaven. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the recipe for the cure for the bacon is on my website, and you have to use prog powder with that. If you're not sure, always make sure that you give it a little extra time to cure. Don't under-cure your bacon, and the same with anything else. Prog powder is a chemical with a lot of different characteristics, so I recommend that you look it up from some of the experts. There's a couple of universities that do a lot of work on this, and they will lead you in the right direction. For me, I just follow that recipe on my website every time, and this is what I get. I also do the prog powder in my jerky, and I'm going to be doing some of that coming up soon because I like to make my own jerky for my keto, so that way I don't have to worry about people putting sugars in it. So I hope you like this, and another successful cook in the Giantex. We did have to fight the temperature just a little bit. I think maybe I should have put a little bit more charcoal in. I'm not accounting for how cold it is outside. You see, this is not smoke. This is steam coming off my breath. I almost went and got a flannel because it's so cold out here. But hey, I just, can hang out next to the smoker. But again, a little under on temperature, so it took a little bit longer than I wanted. But I think that might be why the bacon turned out so good also, because sometimes if you cook it too fast, it doesn't turn out the way you want. So again, we're gonna refrigerate this, and tomorrow I'm gonna slice it up with my meat slicer, and I'll pop a picture of that right here for you so you can see that. And for a little tip, put it in the freezer for 5 minutes, and it'll make it even easier to slice. I hope you like this. And if you are interested in the Giantex 3-in-1 smoker, use my manufacturer's website affiliate link, and it'll take you straight there. And if you like Amazon better, the Amazon affiliate links are directly below that, so no worries. And everything else that we use in the videos is listed there too. So, thanks for watching, and have a great day.